Okay, let's do a quick recap. Whatever we have talked about the ES6. So first we talk about the support. So right now our browser doesn't have support for ES6. Then what are the transpilers available because our browser is not supporting. So we need to convert the ES6 to ES5 for our applications to render on the browser. So Babel, TypeScript, Tracer. These are some of the transpilers available which you can use. Then we talk about the lat and constant. Lat allows you to declare the variables that are limited to the block level scopes. So whatever you have at the function level scope, that is not there now. Whenever you are using the lat, it is having only a block level scope. You can declare the multiple variables in the different block level scope with the same name. There is no any issue, but in the same block you cannot have the two different variables. Then we talk about the constant. So constant is also having the block level scope. You need to initialize the value whenever you are defining it. Then we talk about the second example is about destructuring, object destructuring, array destructuring, a lot of things. Like here we are creating the object O, then assigning that to the P and Q. So P and Q directly getting the value. So this is called extracting the values from the object and assigning it. Then array destructuring. I talked about this mixed destructuring in the different ways. Like it is called a nested destructuring. This is an object which is having the colors value, nested values, and then you are assigning it to this particular variable. So repeat will get value true, save will get false, and these colors, first color will get value red, second color will get value green. So this is called a mixed destructuring. And you can write a lot of examples like this. Okay, then we talk about the function related. First is a default parameter. We can use it like this. You can initialize the default values. Then rest parameter, in the while defining the function, we can define with a rest parameter with the triple dot. It is nothing but it is representing some collection of array data which you can do a loop on and can get the values out of it. Then spread operator, whenever you are using the triple dot operator while calling the function, then it is called a spread operator, something like this. So you are passing this array using triple dot while calling the function. And then we talk about the object related, object shortening. So here if the key name value pair are same, representing the same name, then you can write it using object shortening. Similarly for the function, you do not need to use the function keyword, you can directly write the function name. Then we talk about the arrow function, one of the important aspect of the ES6. You can create, you do not need to write the complete function. You can write the code of the 3 lines in a single line. Like this is the function which is taking the null argument, the empty argument, and returning nothing. This is the function which is taking the 2 input and then returning num1 plus num2. Okay, so this is how we are writing the arrow functions. It is providing the lexical scope binding, this binding, and it is very beneficial because earlier in the ES5 code we are doing the bind object, we are doing the bind this whenever we have the callback, because this is the callback and here we want to use this object, then we need to bind it with the this. Similarly this set timeout function, this is the callback. So if you want to access this variable, we need to assign this to some any other variable, then that using that variable we are able to access the ID. But now using the arrow function, these things will get removed. Using the arrow function, you can see here on the add click listener, this callback is now, this function callback is now changed to the array function, arrow function. So now you are able to access this without doing any bind here, without assigning this to any another variable. You are able to access this object here using the arrow function. Similarly in a third example, so this is about the arrow function. Then we talk about the modules. There are different kind of modules: common JS module, UMD, AMD modules. So how to do an import and export of the modules from one file to another file. This is the example which we talked about. Default export, whenever we have a single definition, single function, then you can do a default export, single function, single class. It is like anonymous function, and then while importing it, you are giving it some name, and using that name you are calling that function. Then ES6 classes we talked about. Classes declarations are not hoisted. It is completely in a restricted mode, whatever you are declaring inside a class. Then class expression, uh, creating the inheritance, creating the anonymous class like this, let person equal to new class. So same kind of concept like you are creating the anonymous function, and then we are declaring the static member, like this is the static function which can be accessed from the class name only without creating any object. Then we talk about the template string interpolation. Inside the backticks you can put the content, dynamic content with the dollar sign, static content you can put directly as a wordings, no issues with that. Then we talk about the maps and sets. Then we talked about the iterators and generators. What the generators are returning an iterable object, like the for of, okay, let me talk iterators. So for of is also doing some kind of iterations on the iterable object. So this is an array, this is some kind of a collections or map. So for of is being used to do the iteration on the iterable objects. This is the Fibonacci example which we have covered. This is generator function which is generating the Fibonacci numbers. Okay, then we talk about the generators, how to write it. You need to write the generator function with the asterisk sign, and this generator function will be returning, yielding the values from it. Okay, until unless there is a true. While true, it is creating the values index plus plus, and it is yielding. And how to get the values? You need to get the first. You need to call this function, get the iterator, then iterator dot next. You will get the values out of it. Yield keyword is being used inside a generator to return the values from that expression. Then we talk about the promises. This is how you can create the promises in the ES6. New promise, and it is taking resolve and reject based on the condition you are rejecting or resolving the promise. Then we are writing dot, then if promise is resolved then do this, otherwise do this. So thanks everyone. That's all about the ES6. Now we will be using these features inside our Angular 2 applications and React application.